Hi everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Well, welcome everyone to episode 30. We're so glad you're here. Starting off the bat, we're really excited to have this still running, and we're just thankful for all the newcomers. And if you're joining us for the first time, we thank you and we hope you do enjoy the podcast. We are going to continue on in Final Fantasy IX, so if you've missed out on pretty much everything up to this point, which is quite a bit, episode 6 is where we started, so you might want to start there. But moving on for us. So last episode, we kind of took a step back. Remember, we got access to the Blue Narcissus ship. And,
Right.
there's a whole plethora of things. The majority of it was chocographs and stuff. There were some other things, places to visit. So now we're progressing on. Except there are actually a couple other chocographs that we forgot to mention last time.
Yep.
So
More chocographs.
yeah, so once you do need to get those upgrades first, and then you can start getting these additional ones. So remember, we got the
Yeah.
mountain and ocean upgrades. Go over to the forest, get some. But if you go over to the lagoon, there's additional ones that you can get. So real quick, doing the same thing. We're just gonna basically name them. We're not gonna tell you where to find them, and then just kind of the highlights. Number 17, Sea at Dusk. In this, you can get some of the kind of smaller items, but you can also get a white robe and a mass immune card.
Yeah.
Cool, I guess. White robe,
These are really
interesting
good.
fact is, Kina can wear all the robes, but she can't actually wear the white robe. So,
Yeah.
there's that. Number 18, Ocean. That's literally what it's called, Ocean. Here you get the light robe, which Kina can use, and this light robe is, oh my gosh, is it amazing. And, once again, no big deal. We're just going to get the whale whisker, the best staff in the game, or rod, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. And then something else, though, is the Alexander card. And let me tell you, man, I did do this. I got all this stuff. My Alexander card had a strength of D. Absolutely
Seriously?
insane. Seriously,
Yeah, that's
man. Like,
crazy, man.
D, that's crazy good.
Yeah, exactly. These are some of the best chocographs in the game. So we've really pretty much gone over like almost all of them at this point.
Yeah.
The last remaining ones, we need the last upgrade for Choco, but these are crazy. And Light Robe is also awesome. It teaches half MP, which Quina can also learn, which
Yeah.
is gonna come into play pretty soon here. So, and then finally, the last one that you could get is Cold Lagoon, which doesn't really have anything exciting, just a whole bunch of gems. But again, those can be useful for strengthening your summons.
Right.
Pretty much time to move on with the story. So where we have to go is just right over to the Black Mage Village, which is really easy to get to at this point. I mean, kind of like what Mark said earlier, you don't even really need the ship if you've been doing the Choco
Yeah.
side quests and you've got the ocean upgrade and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, you head over there and you get a couple of scenes.
Not a whole lot here. I mean, literally, there's
Yeah,
only 3 black mages. You just got to go to VV in the cemetery. He's talking to like the original, I guess, I don't know, leader almost, of them, and
BFG.
just it's kind of stuff like I guess the reason why they went with Kuja is because they didn't want to quote unquote stop, which is die, and Kuja
Yeah.
said that he can make them survive longer, essentially.
The only ones that stayed were the kind of like the original ones over by the cemetery. But he sold, yeah, exactly. Like he kind of sold them this false hope that he can extend their life somehow, and
Yeah.
got them all to follow him and do all that kind of stuff. So don't think it's going to work out too well, but we'll see how that ends up. Then you pretty much have to head over to where his desert palace is. So you hear about his little hideout,
Yeah.
which is also on the outer continent. I think they allude to where it is, but in general, it's pretty much all the way over on the eastern side of the continent.
Yeah.
It's pretty much separated by a bunch of mountains, but again, you can get over there on the Blue Narcissus, or you can use Choco, and you'll see like these four sand pits, right?
Yeah, and if you kind of just pause, and just kind of watch them for a little bit, you will notice that like some of them have kind of like little dust clouds above them or something like
Yeah,
that. If you go into those ones, you will have to fight an antlion, which
yeah,
maybe you don't want to do that. So just kind of
it
pause, see which
sucks.
one doesn't. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Just see which
No.
one doesn't have that and go into that.
Yeah,
Before you
because
do that, though, it's kind of like some series will happen, and you won't have access to the open world again, or the whole entire open world again. So, just some things. If you didn't get the mountain upgrade yet for Choco, you just might want to. Same with Choco Grass 15 and 16, and some dead peppers. I mean, it's just kind of like if you're not even really interested in the Chocobo stuff. Well, okay, well there you go. Other
yeah,
thing too is just kind of make sure you have Gil. You will have another opportunity to move around and get Gil, but just if you kind of were wiped up with the Trino, or not the Trino, with the Limblom, and and all that stuff, just make sure you have some Gil. But regardless, once you do hop in, it just goes instantly to, well, you see like Zidane and Sid, and they're just in a jail
yeah.
cell.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how this works. So you I guess like jump in the sand pit or something like that, and it just
Yeah,
takes you
I
right
don't
into the
know.
jail cell. Whatever. You hear Kuja talking, and he's basically doing his little evil antagonist dialogue
Oh
thing of like,
yes,
"Oh, my plan's going exactly according to plan." All
yep,
this
always
kind of
does
stuff.
somehow.
Yeah. Basically, they're all trapped in separate cells, and he basically like the floor opens up to a lava pit, so
Yeah.
he can kill him at any time and anything, but he says that he needs him to go and do something for him, so he lets Zidane out, and you go and have a chat with Kuja.
Yeah, he doesn't give you too much info, as he probably wouldn't want to. But essentially, yeah, you need something that's called like what, the Gulug Stone or
Yeah.
something,
Gulug.
and it's in, I don't know, what is that, oil
Ah,
Oeilvert,
Oeilvert.
or
Yeah,
or
that's our best
or
guess.
Oeil, I don't know, but regardless, the Oeilvert is what
Oeilvert.
we're gonna call it.
Yeah.
And he can't go because apparently this place has an anti-magic barrier, is what he says.
Yeah. And one of my favorite
Yes.
lines, I want to send you because you're too stupid to use
You're
magic.
too stupid.
Oh,
Yeah,
burn.
bird. Zidane, you're too stupid to use magic. And
Yeah.
so he knows that Zidane's gonna need help, so you might want to select some of the other two stupid characters in your party that don't know magic. Because you won't be able to use magic, right? And so
Yes.
this is when you get to select your party. Honestly, I don't think it's a tough enough place to really have to worry about stuff too much. It's just some people you probably don't want to take for sure, and I would just say that's pretty much Vivi for sure. And I don't know, maybe Ico or Dagger. You do have
Yeah.
Tiger Racket if you got it. I mean, so they actually
Yeah.
wouldn't be that. They would actually kind of be good in that case, but I don't know. Those are the three main magic users, so you probably don't want to take them.
Yeah, it would be really, not gonna lie, it'd be really difficult if you decided to take Vivi, Dagger, and Ico.
Oh gosh.
So don't,
Yeah.
whatever you do, don't do that.
Don't take those three.
My, yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure I usually take the same people, and for me, it's Amaranth, Freya, and Steiner. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, essentially the same. I just took Hina for the heck of it. I took her and
Yeah,
left Steiner back, and so
yeah,
we will get to why some of these choices would be a little more beneficial than others. As we go through the story here, but essentially, yeah. I mean, if you just leave Vivi, Dagger, and Ico behind, the rest is kind of just a little open ended. But essentially, he Kuja summons whoever you choose, and then you kind of group up and get teleported to kind of, I don't know, like the airship dock area is essentially what it is. And
yeah. The one that you see in the ATE, the
exactly, yep,
previous
there you go,
scene.
where Kuja's yelling at everyone. So you have to walk to the airship, and you can actually get into battles here. I think
Yeah,
Ogre is the only enemy in this specific zone of the Desert Palace. Do you know if that's
it's Ogre and Grimlock, I
okay? That's right.
think.
I was only getting
But
ogres.
yeah, Grimlock might be later, but I just want to know, why the heck? Like, so he's fighting battles when he's walking around his own
I know,
palace.
right? He's got
It's
all these
like,
black mages, and they're not going to secure the area.
yeah, the whole place is just random encounters. I just find that so funny. He's like, oh, gotta get my training in.
Yeah. And I don't know if we have talked about ogre yet. I mean, you can get this from plenty of other enemies, but if you do so choose, you have Kina now. If you took Kina, I did. I didn't have
Mhm.
Matcha Magic, but if you do eat the ogres, that's what you can get for the blue magic is Matcha Magic.
Okay,
You will have other opportunities again to get that from many other enemies essentially.
right.
But at that point, it go to the airship and it kind of just it takes off and it's flying on the world map. You can't control it. It's kind of on a rail. Halfway through, Zidane, it goes to like a little scene, Zidane's trying to talk to the black mages, they won't respond. Lo and behold, here comes Zorn and Thorn, and they're
Oh
just giving
man.
him grief, of course.
Yeah, and it's really funny actually because Zidane just totally wrecks them.
He
Where,
does.
Zorn and Thorn, they're just like, oh, they won't talk to you. They just basically talk when we command them to talk. And then he
Yeah,
just points out, it's like, yeah, but you guys aren't any different. You're just pawns.
yeah.
And he's got a really good point with that. And then, he's basically like, all right, well, might as well just relax until we get there and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, yeah, they got all mad and want to fight, and he's like, I'm gonna go lay down, guys. You
Yeah,
take it easy.
does his little stretch thing.
Yep. And so it will land on the Forgotten Continent. It's the only one we haven't been able to move on yet. And
Right.
so at this point, you can go back to the airship, right? And Zorn and Thorn have a little. It's kind of interesting that you can actually, talk to Zorn and Thorn and buy stuff
Yeah,
from them.
yeah. Basically, it is kind of funny because you just turn to the airship and, try to get on or press X or whatever. And they're like, what do you want? Here, if you need to buy something, here you go. And they got this shop.
Yeah.
It's just basically an item shop, but it does have, I'm not sure if this is the first time you can buy this item, but it is going to be a useful item in case you want to buy some of these. The vaccine is now for sale,
Yeah.
and that will get rid of the status disease, which will come into play.
Yes. And yeah, like Alex said, pretty much just an item shop. So as usual, stock up on what you need to. If you got all of those Chocograph treasures, yeah, probably don't need any items. But
Yeah.
so you essentially have free roam now in the open world on the Forgotten Continent. That's the only place you can move around on. There is a Q's Marsh that is essentially right up the north, but if you move past that, further north, there are some chocobo tracks, and so you can actually get
Yeah.
Choco here. And so here we go. Continuing on the marathon of Choco treasures, there's some more things you can
Here we
do.
go.
So
Yeah.
we've had 15 and 16. We've talked about it. So
Right.
number 15, Dusk Plains. In here, Kaiser Knuckles, man. And you
Yeah.
do get an Iron Man card. Iron Man card's not that great, but those Kaiser Knuckles, holy cow, dude. I think it raises Aberrant's strength to like 77 or something. Just
Oh man.
insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I I might be mistaken, but is that the one that has no mercy?
I
That
think it
ability
is. It's
on
either
it?
that one or the other one we just got.
Okay. Well, anyways, that is a really, really good ability. Other than that, you've also got number 16, Forgotten Plains, which has Demon's Mail. And
Yeah.
does that sound familiar?
I know, man. It's crazy. I mean, I was thinking about this too. And at this point, it's not anything particularly amazing. You should have the
Yeah.
shield armor, which they're about, I think, about kind of similar in ways of stats. But I was just thinking, man, way back from the Tantarian, if you stole this the first time, dude, that was way long ago. Like, oh my gosh, such a long time ago. And it just kind of shows you if you were just so darn lucky enough to get that, that's how early you got it. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. And I mean, like what Mark was saying, ability-wise, it's nothing spectacular, but it does have really good defense.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. All right, well, we got two cracks here. So we talked about, the dead pepper cracks. You kind of see like the chasms or, just cracks essentially in the mountainside of a certain location. So again, it'd be way too hard to describe. Essentially, there's one kind of on the north side of the continent, one on the southern side. The one that's on the north side you get a Medane's ring, and nothing great. You've been able to get those
Yeah.
for a long time. You do get Genji helmet though, and
Oh
that's
man.
pretty darn good. And then Hildegard 1 card, which is just another ship card, pretty darn good as well.
That's not bad, yeah.
No,
It's
it's
just the ship cards are so funny. It's like
they are.
weird.
Yeah. The
Anyways,
other one though, man, that has the stuff in it though.
yeah. So what is that? That's got Maiden Prayer, Gauntlets, Odin card, which is really crazy, and Dragon's Hair. That
Dragon's
is
hair.
one of the best spears in the game, right?
I think it's the best spear, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And so once again, like you just got the best rod in the game, you got the second best staff in the game, you got the best racket in the game, and now you get the best spear in the game. So if you did take Freya with you, don't know why you wouldn't have, but if you did, man, go ahead and put that thing on, and then she's gonna be cranking out like 3K jumps easily right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, and Maiden Prayer is an interesting accessory. It has an ability on it that makes so that Odin, when you summon Odin with dagger, it actually can do damage instead of just instant KO.
Yeah,
So
I
if the
think it
enemies are
changes its ability, right?
yeah, which is really useful because there are enemies that can be immune to death, and then normally it would just miss then, but
Yeah.
this way it can actually do some damage no matter what.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right, well, we do have plenty of other stuff to get to, but let's do our bold move before we move on. All right, man, what you got this time?
All right, so going to Final Fantasy X. So, I've been going back through that game again, and I thought it was really interesting. In one of the Ject spheres, I can't remember where you find it. I think you actually do find it pretty close to the Moonflow. But
Okay.
it shows you a little scene where Ject, it was a really bold move of him to finally give up drinking after the whole shoe puff incident. Because he was obviously had his problems with the liquor, and then that was kind of the final straw. But props to him for finally doing that.
This is a bold move. Yeah, he made it that far. I mean, he's been
Yeah.
apparently drinking heavily this whole time, and I mean, let's be real. Orin isn't exactly helping the situation. The dude's carrying around a jug of moonshine or something with him the whole time.
Seriously.
It's just sitting there,
Yeah.
temptation. So,
Yeah, so-
bold move, Jet. Bold move.
Exactly. What you got, man?
All right, I was thinking about this in Final Fantasy 12. So you remember when you get to Arcades for the first time, and you got that street ear jewels, right? It was a pretty bold move of him to continuously take money from, well, essentially us, but Vaughn, when Balthier already gave him the chops, right? And so it's funny because the second time when he does take your money, right, and you get it in advance, like, oh, thanks, man, and walks away. Fran is sitting there just mean mugging him hardcore, and he even does like the kind of like cough, so.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that scene, and I was kind of like wondering. I'm like, what the heck was that all about? So
Yep.
that was because of the chops, huh?
Yep. Bold move, man. I wouldn't want to make Fran mad, but hey, there he is. He took the money anyways.
Because even Balthier says something about that too, where like, he was kind of upset with him.
Yeah, he's like, I gave him the chops. Yep, exactly. All right, well, those were our bold moves, and let's continue on to the Forgotten Continent. All right, so I did mention the Q's Marsh. It's really hard to miss it. I mean, it's essentially right there.
It's
But
right next to
kind
the
of an
main
interesting thing is you can go there, but you won't be able to catch any frogs unless you have Keen on the party, right?
That's right, yeah. So it's kind of a tricky one too to catch frogs at. I don't think it's one of the more difficult. Like I think the one on Lennar Island is a little bit trickier, but
Yeah.
still, yeah, it all depends on whether you have Kina or not. But it's there.
Yeah, and I did, and so I did catch some frogs. Yeah, I think this one's essentially, it's like just just kind of like a normal pond of how you would be thinking about it. And so, yeah, you do kind of have to walk around a bit. I will say, though, that if you've kind of been catching frogs periodically, kind of like I have, I did get enough at this point to go ahead and get the Gastro Fork. And so,
Dang,
you know,
man, that's
no big
that
deal.
is
I just had
solid.
Amaranth with Kaiser Knuckles. I had Freya with the with the new spear.
Wow.
Kina with Gastro Fork. And so there, poor
I
Zidane, he's the only one sitting there with like, I don't know, 40 something strength. Everyone
yeah, it was
else
like
is like
Angel
70
Bliss.
plus, you know.
You know, I was gonna ask too because I've been doing that on my game, and man, it just takes so long because I'm trying not to deplete all the
Dude,
pawns, and
I've wiped
I
out
think I'm only
every
up to
pond.
like
I'm just,
yeah,
I'm
it's.
wiping them out.
I think we kind of talked about strategizing with this a little bit back, but there are different strategies that you can have. You can either clear the pawns, or you can leave a couple to repopulate the ponds. And then, of course, if you get the golden frog, that will just increase the reproduction rate of the
Yeah.
frogs. So, but anyways, other than that, and one other thing I do want to note that even if you haven't been getting a chocographs, it's still a good idea to go and get choco because the random encounters here are really annoying and it's a really long way
Oh, it's a
south to
long
the
way.
right to the place. So, what'd you encounter?
I honestly, all I encountered were the Armstrongs. That's it.
Yeah,
I did ride
I
Choco,
hate
so I
those
mean, I didn't
guys.
particularly, I didn't walk a whole lot. But it was the
Yeah,
Armstrongs. Those are kind of like the house with legs with the giant cannon. I mean,
super
this is
weird.
such a
Yeah.
strange enemy, and
Got
yeah,
little
man,
tiny
they are
legs.
not great. They suck. They are surprisingly a little challenging. I mean, but yeah, no, you can eat them from magic as well. So we got
Yeah.
two opportunities if you have Kina.
They just use a whole bunch of really annoying gravity-based moves like cannon will always half your HP.
Yeah,
Then they've got Matra magic as well, that of course is going to reduce you to one. So they're just really annoying. And on top of that, there are also Cactars here. So make sure you have clear-headed equipped. And there's the old Kotobel Pass, bull-like enemies here. And there are a whole bunch. But if you go way south, almost to the very end, like furthest south part of the continent, there's some forest there that you can find a new friendly monster, and he's kind of tough to find.
yeah. It took me a little bit. I did find the link in the chain that was broken for me. That was Ladybug. So actually,
Ah,
that's a pretty good point. If you did miss a friendly monster at this point, or a little bit before we actually came here, pretty good opportunity to go do that. And I did. I went back and I got Nymph and all that. So you got Jabberwock now, and it's in the forest only. So go ahead, head around. It did take a little bit, but he wants an emerald. So
yeah,
chances are you probably only have one at this point. Make sure it's not equipped. Go ahead and give
and
it up though. It's worth it because you're just about to get another one. And so if you do give him the emerald, you will get a moonstone in 40 AP, which of course if you have
40.
ability up translates into 80 AP.
Oh
So
man,
crazy.
that
Crazy,
is
crazy.
crazy. And yeah, the emerald, it's interesting that we got that like way back at Clara
Yeah.
when you get it at the by the harp and everything like that. But anyways, and then just so you know, the Jabberwock is like this weird little four-legged
Like
um
lizard thing holding a book for some reason. I don't know.
holding a book.
He
Yeah,
can't talk
so
very well, but apparently he reads. So I don't know.
you'll
Goodness.
know it by the music.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so at this point, if you did do all that, there's not much else to do. And so go ahead, head over to Oeilvert. It's on the map for you, so you can easily find it. And essentially, I don't know. As soon as you get in, there's a Moogle right there. It is Mimosa. And you
yeah,
will get a new letter. So it's going to be Mimosa to Muel, I guess.
yeah,
But more importantly, there's a mog shop here, and it is
and
updated.
yeah, and this is where Gil is gonna start becoming a serious issue.
Yes.
Because a lot of these things cost like well, I mean, let's just get into it. So, right off the bat, new weapons.
Yes.
Assuming you have a lot of the physical attackers with you, you've got the Diamond Sword for Steiner that teaches Power Break. That's like 9,000 gil.
Dude, it's super
Um,
expensive. Yeah.
yeah, Mithril Claws. If you have been doing the Chocograph thing, I would just go ahead and skip this because it teaches him Curse, which isn't really that great of an ability. It just randomly assigns the enemy a elemental weakness, but it's
Yeah.
random, so it's like, I don't know. So you got Trident for Freya, not very good either. The ability
No.
on it is Luna, and I don't understand why would ever be useful. What it does is it inflicts berserk on all allies and enemies, so everybody's berserk.
Everyone's just going to town, man.
Yeah. Green Beret, this is one of those ones, guys, seriously, get like 3 or 4 of these
Yeah.
because pretty soon you're not going to be able to buy it. So this is a missable. Teaches ability up, it's got speed +1.
And it's also just
Uh,
really good too.
it is really good for
Also
that
has
speed boost.
also has clear headed on it too. So in case you don't have anything else that has clear headed for certain characters, it does have that,
Yep.
which is needed.
Yep. And we'll just run through the rest of these real quick. Diamond gloves, it's pretty decent, nullifies water damage. Judo uniform gives you strength +1 and ability distract. The cross helm, which you could have gotten one from just unequipping it from Beatrix
Yep.
back the Alexandria part, but teaches MP attack, and then the gold armor, which has stone killer.
Yes. And I mean, really, especially if you just got all the treasures we just did, most of this is null and mute. It doesn't matter. You got better in most slots. I just will say Judo Uniform and Green Beret specifically were ones that were upgrades for like Amaranth, Zidane, and stuff like that. We haven't had too much of leather treasure items. It's been mostly like heavy armor and weapons. So there you go, wiping out. If you do need some money or whatever, you should have, if you've been following along and all the stuff we have, I think I had like something like 52 ethers. Dude, just sell like 10 of them,
Wow.
and that's 10K right there, so you do have some choices. But essentially, I mean, at this point, all you have to do is just move forward. Some story kind of follows. There's a giant door. You get through it. And here we go with an area for directions, right? So if you've been following along this whole time, when we get to these areas, they're incredibly hard to just describe without seeing. So we're just going to kind of keep it pretty straightforward. But there's actually a pretty interesting enemy here that can be quite annoying.
Yeah, we're just going to throw this out there because this is one. So, first of all, the encounter rate in this place is extremely low. So, that's the good thing.
Yeah.
But this enemy you'll encounter is called an epitaph. And it's like a statue, essentially. Now, this guy, if you don't know the trick to this battle, is just really difficult. He's got super high defense. And what he does, he uses like this mirror attack that it randomly summons one of the 9 playable characters on your team. And if it happens to just be one of the characters that you have in your current party, then they're just going to spend the rest of the battle laying on their back because it instantly kills them. It does 9,999 damage, and if you revive them and the the mimic that he summoned is still there, it'll just continuously keep doing that. So
yes,
it's just really weird. If it's not one that's in your party, then the mimic will just sit there and attack you and do like pretty low physical damage. But anyways, the trick to this one is just throw soft on him and it'll kill him instantly.
Yep, too soft to live, right? We had that other one that what was it, the Aoife tree. So we got another one here. So yeah, just toss the soft at him and you're good to go.
Mess around. Yeah, this enemy's really tough. But he gives you a lot of gil and some awesome items, so definitely worth it.
Yes. And kind of like what Alex said, I mean, the counter rate here is so terrible. The whole entire time I was there, I only encountered one battle, and it was, one of those fellows. But so if you do want to sit there and then farm a little bit, well, you might just need to run in circles rather than run through areas because it probably won't work. Regardless, that first screen you get to, there are multiple ways. So straight ahead, though, if you just kind of head straight forward, there's going to be some stairs. If you go up there, there's a blue orb. What it is, we don't know. It's just a blue orb, and you can hit it and turn it red. So, there you go. Why wouldn't you do that? And, it's just such a strange thing, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll hit this orb. There is an elixir right next to it. That's all you can do right up there. So go on back and then head to the right. There's some stairs to the right. And more Moogles, right? This letter was, man, that was a tough one to deliver because here you go. Here's Mool the Moogle. You can deliver it.
Apparently they're not very social.
I know, right? Like, maybe couldn't get through the door, but somehow Stiltskin, who was also here, got through the door. So
Right.
who knows, man? But regardless, delivered that letter rather, and there's nothing else. So you did your duty. Stiltskin, as I just mentioned, is here. You could pay a nice 888 gil for a high potion, an elixir, and, like we just said, an emerald. So you got that emerald right back if you encountered the Jabberwock.
That could be your first one if you didn't get the one at Clara. So.
Yes. Yeah. And something else just to mention, I mean, it's not any good anymore at this point, but Gaia gear is also in here. It's in a chest. Honestly, if you get it on the second time you come back in here, because you will, or maybe the first time if you just wait till the end, probably a lot easier. That way you don't have to run around a lot. At this point, you will have to go back and stuff, but before we do that, let's go ahead and let's do our seed trivia. All right, Alex is on his seed trivia rank 25 quiz. I don't know if we're gonna get him. We're gonna try. All right, dude. First question is in Final Fantasy X-2. I was thinking about this. I figured, you know what? He may actually know this instantly. But who knows? So at the very start of the game, one of the very first enemies you encounter are called She-Goons. And they have 9 health.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. They do have super low health.
She-Goon. All right.
She-Goon.
Final Fantasy IX. There are a total of 5 mountain cracks on the world.
True.
Number 12. Final Fantasy 12, rather. So in the original version, which I believe you're much more familiar with anyways, the Turn Soul cost 600,000 gil.
That is true.
Alright, our next question is going to be in Final Fantasy VIII. So, Squall has an increased chance to use his like special finishing blows, right, for his limit break. So he has an increased chance to use those the lower health he is.
True.
Final Fantasy XIII. Lightning is just as bad as Hope in Sentinel efficiency.
Oh man. What do you mean by sentinel efficiency? Like,
I don't know,
how
like,
good
you
they
know,
are at it?
how
Yeah.
good they are at it, yeah.
True.
Alright, Final Fantasy VII. Kate Sith's Trumpet Shell has 0 materia slots.
That is true.
Yeah, that was instant. Alright. Last one. Final Fantasy X. When you are at the Macarena Temple, and you are fighting Seymour, no one sees more butts than you, Uncle Tony, but if you talk to him, like, because, you know, in battle, you can talk to him. If you talk to him with Waka, it will increase Waka's strength.
Oh man. At the Macalania? Yeah, it's true.
Alright, man, let's recap it here. Final Fantasy X-2! The She-Goons have 9 health. You said true? Well, it's false, man. They have 7 health.
Oh my goodness.
I thought you maybe remember that because I don't know, it is such a low amount, and I know that you did like 15 new game pluses in a row, but alright, man. Final Fantasy IX, there are 5 mountain cracks. You said true, and you know what? Actually, I was thinking about this as you said it. I think it is true. I have down 4. Now, there are 4 that I think have treasure, but technically the Mognet, which we totally forgot to mention, the fact that you could go to Mognet Central right now in the game where we're at 9. Doesn't matter, you can't do anything. But I think that does count as a 5th one, so I'm gonna give it to you, man. I think it is true.
Yeah, if you count that one.
Yep. So that's true. Alright, Final Fantasy 12 in the original version, Turn Soul cost 600,000 gil. You said true. It is true, man. That was that was a pretty penny.
Dude,
and not easy to get.
I remember getting that. That was really just painstaking to get those items.
Yes. Alright, our next question was the whole Final Fantasy VIII Squall special finishing blows. You said true, it is true, so lower Squall's health is, the higher chance he has to use, you know, all his, I can't even remember them at this point, but, you know, all the other special finishing limit break stuff, but...
That's right.
All right, Final Fantasy 13. Lightning is just as bad as Hope in Sentinel efficiency. You said true, and it is true. She sucks at it.
Yeah, she's
you
got
would,
like evade or
you
something.
would think that she wouldn't be as bad as Hope. I mean, Hope makes sense. He's a little kid. Why is he out there trying to, stop blows from everyone else? But like Lightning as bad as him? You wouldn't think so. But yeah, no, she sucks at it.
Yep.
Really bad. Final Fantasy VII, do we even need to talk about it? You said it instantly. His trumpet shell has 0 materia. True. Yes, it is. It doesn't have. It's pretty funny, man. I was looking up his weapons on, like the fandom wiki. And it's literally just like a conch shell. So Kate Sith is using a conch shell as a weapon. What the heck, man? Like, doesn't make any sense, dude. Whatever. Goes up and hits people, whatever. All right, Final Fantasy X. If Wakka talks to Seymour during that boss battle at Makalania Temple, his strength is increased. You said true. It's false. It is magic defense. That is what is increased.
Realized that, yeah.
Yes. What is it? Titus has his strength, and then Yuna and Wakka, it's magic defense.
And it's so weird that they do that because it really doesn't help him at all. His magic defense is already so low that it's not going to help him.
I know.
But anyways,
increased from 1 to 2. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
it's doing like so much for me.
Something.
Yeah. Regardless, man, you only missed 2, so you did pass your rank 25 quiz. On a roll again. Here you go.
Man.
All right. Well, Alex is reveling in his victory here, so let's go ahead and continue on with our playthrough. All right, man. So, we just talked to our Moogle buddies, and once you get the stuff from Stiltskin, again, please do buy that stuff. If you need to go back and sell some stuff because you don't have 880 gil, do so. It is 100% worth it. You need to do that.
Just do what we do and sell your ethers.
Seriously.
You definitely have like 15 or something ethers. They sell for what, 1,500 gil? So
yeah, it's a very easy way to get some gil. So regardless, head back to the entrance. We already went up. We went right. So the only choice we have left is to go left at the very entrance there. In this area, there's a little bit more of a story. There hasn't been too much, but there's some like holograph that kind of shows like a planet, and that's where like, ooh, it's a planet. That's kind of all there is. There is a diamond sword and shield armor in here, so I didn't want to say anything because I want some people to have to go through the challenges of this darn game. But hopefully you didn't buy a diamond sword because you just get a free one right here.
But hey, I mean, never a problem having more than one, especially when some of these become missable. But yes, that is a good point.
Yeah. I didn't buy it because I knew I'd be getting this one. So I was like, yeah, let me save that amount of gil. I don't have very much to begin with. But essentially, you kind of just, you got a couple of routes. It's kind of starting to get more linear. You could go up, but the door's locked, and so you have to go ahead and head south down some more stairs. Kind of just going through some areas here, right? So in this area, there's a power vest and feather boots. Feather boots, you should have like 15 of them. But that power vest, pretty darn good, actually.
Yeah, it is. Increases strength. So that's a really good piece of equipment for Zidane and Amaranth. Yeah, basically, again, we just continue on our little linear path here. Just keep going up the stairs to the top left of the screen. And then you kind of end up where we were before, right? But you go through a set of doors here, and then you get into kind of like this room with a bunch of faces all on the walls. Like
a little bit before that, though, you have these like lights on the ground that you have to touch, and it like talks about ships.
Oh,
like airships.
That's right.
Yeah, you got.
My bad.
It's a specific order. There's 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom. If you go left to right on the top, and then I don't know, you just touch them. The exclamation points will only appear on the right ones. But yeah, it talks about ships, and if you don't know anything about this, you don't really know anything. But it does talk about a certain kind of ship, another certain kind of ship, and then it says like the prototype battleship Invincible, but failed, and then the last one says, another model of the Invincible currently in use, and so you don't really know anything about that right now, but if you you know, right? And so
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting thing. But as Alex just mentioned, yeah, at that point, you got to just keep going, doors unlocked and all that. I mean, it's just really hard to explain. Regardless, though, you will get to the face room, which is really creepy.
Yeah, this is a really weird part, and we start getting into some of the deeper aspects of the story where they start talking about Terra and Gaia.
Yeah.
So, and we'll elaborate on all of this later as the story kind of goes into it, but there's basically these two different worlds, and that's what's so weird about Oeilvert or Oeilvert, however you want to say it, is this place is sort of like this ancient civilization
Yeah.
where there was this connection between the two worlds.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. And we're gonna kind of see a little bit more in that, and it just started
yeah,
obviously filling a lot of details. It's just traditional Final Fantasy fashion, especially 9. It's only giving you tidbits that you literally have no idea about until it all starts to click. So at this point, once after the face room, you just have to go back to the Moogle room. So kind of crisscrossing a little bit, but go to the Moogle room. Probably use a tent if you've been in some battles or something. Save it. As you move past, here's a little bit more. It has another hologram where it has one planet, then it has another planet, and then they move together. And so Zidane's like,
yeah.
okay, so they're becoming one, and all that. Go one screen further, and here we go. Finally, we found what we needed. There's like some triangle thing looking, and you go to grab it. That's the Gulug Stone, and you go to grab it, and boss time, man. It has been a
Here we
long
go.
time since we have fought a boss.
Yeah, and this guy's for real. So this is Ark. It's basically it's really strange. It's like this giant ship with a huge sword on the front.
Massive, yeah.
Yeah, and this guy's for real. Like honestly, this is probably one of the tougher boss battles in Final Fantasy 9. This guy has over 20,000 HP and
Yes.
just a ton of brutal attacks. So, in
Yes.
preparation, we would just suggest, first of all, definitely equip clear-headed on all of your party members and then possibly bird killer if you want and or have it.
Yeah, and the clear-headed again. Clear-headed just protects you against confusion, which we all get to the attacks, and he uses very frequently.
Yeah. So an interesting little strategy that I found out, and I thought this was really weird because I didn't actually know about this, but it's funny that the game did this. Sky is vulnerable to several really common status ailments such as darkness, sleep, believe it or not. I mean that is just
Yeah,
crazy to me that the boss is susceptible to sleep, silence. But the game did this probably because you don't have any magic users.
exactly.
Anyways, there's a couple of strategies you can do here. One of them is to equip a certain weapon on Zidane, such as the Ogre, and then if you use Soul Blade, it'll inflict darkness on him.
Okay.
And that'll be useful for some of his attacks. The other one that could be really useful is to use a tent on him and hope he gets bitten
Yeah.
by the snake. So
Yes.
there you go.
All
But
right.
he's got
Well,
some good steals, huh?
we do have some steals. We haven't talked about steals in a long time. 100% is an elixir. I mean, they used to be special, and now they're just getting tossed at you right and left. So that's cool, I guess. You could get another power vest if you wanted for 25%. So probably a
Yeah.
decent chance. The big daddy though is the Holy Lance, which would be pretty cool. I mean, again, you just got the best spear, but if you want the additional abilities and stuff like that, you can't get it. But you probably won't. It has a 0.39% steel. We got these, just crazy ones like this. So
Oh
not only
no.
that, but as we said, this guy is really hard. So it's kind of hard to keep Zidane just stealing because you
Yeah.
kind of need him to help out either in damage or items or something.
That's why darkness might be useful because what this guy is typically going to do, he has. So first of all, he has whirlwind, which is a really annoying attack. What it does is it inflicts float on all of your characters, which you would be thinking, okay, why does that matter? Well, it matters because then
Yeah.
he inflicts more damage from wind attacks on you. So there's
Yeah,
that.
kind of like a
He's got
build up.
right. He's got propeller, that inflicts confuse, and I think that works on all of your party members, right? Or something, or
Yeah, no, it's the AoE, so yeah, it's hitting everyone. And I will say on mine, dude, it, we wrote this. I knew about clear headed. I just totally forgot to put it on.
oh
And
man.
so I had it on, I think, a couple. And so there was one point where Amaranth and Zidane, yes, they were both affected by Confused. And I was like, crap. So I had to start having. Because the other problem is I got Kina. I can't have her attack someone, man. She might hit him for 2, or she might just hit him for like 5,000 and take him out. I don't know.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah,
just had to have Freya on the
it's
back row. Thankfully, I was just trying to get Luna mastered, and so I didn't have the other one,
yeah.
and so I got it. But
It
yeah,
is pretty it is pretty bad. I mean, if you have a lot of remedies, you can use those, but they're super expensive and
yeah,
um,
exactly.
things like that. But anyways, he's also got Photon, which will just basically it's just super cheap attacks like this that just reduce you to 1 HP. And
Yes.
then he likes to follow up with Boomerang, which will do sort of a small amount to moderate damage to the whole party. So
Yeah.
really, the name of the game here is just to try and keep your guys above, hopefully around 1,000 HP. Use high potions,
Yeah. You
things
should have
like
plenty
that.
of them.
Use Rias's Wind with Freya. If you have Kina, oh
Actually,
shoot, actually,
can't use
yeah,
blue magic. Nope.
I was
So
gonna say,
I and
right.
I knew that braining her, and so I just had her pretty much on standby the entire time. I never attacked with her. She was just the item person.
Yeah,
Anytime photon was used, I instantly had her using a high potion right after. But if you do have
yeah,
Amaranth, he does have chakra, which is, I
that's
mean, it's
right.
not great, but it's helpful if you need
Is
it.
pretty yeah, that's why like Amaranth and Freya are so useful for their slight. I mean, it's not fantastic, but they do
Right.
have some healing capabilities, so that's really nice.
Yes.
And you can also sit there and throw pinwheels and things like
Yeah,
that and rising
exactly.
suns at him and do a big amount of damage. So
Yeah, or if you just have Kaiser Knuckles, he'll just bust out about 2,800 hits. So yeah, which it was for me. So I know this guy is pretty
nice.
hard because I have got gamed over to him in the past multiple times that I remember. This time though, it was actually pretty easy because
That's good.
I mean I had him popping off 28, and so about 10 turns he was dead, and so
Nice.
when you do beat him, you will get a pumice. What is it? A pumice piece or something like that?
Pumice piece.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you do get that. We'll talk about it a little bit later. And essentially, right after that, all you have to do is you just go and you do have to go and grab the Gulug Stone, and then it goes directly back to the Desert Palace. So that's it.
Yeah.
So hopefully you did all the stuff you need to. Obviously, you will have access to this continent later, and all that stuff. So it's not really that
Yeah.
big of a deal. But you go back to the
And
desert palace, and Kuja begins with his just complete rhetoric again about, you're all so stupid, I'm so amazing, by the way,
uh-huh.
I did promise I'm gonna save you. I'm not. I like lying, and being
Yeah.
facetious and all that stuff. And so talks about some hourglass in that, as it runs out, the floors in their cells are gonna open up, so eventually they'll just die.
Yeah, but unfortunately for him, he forgot that Sid is still
Yes.
outside. And he probably wasn't thinking Sid would do anything. And fair enough, because Sid is really scared of this hedgehog pie.
But that is where we're going to end it for this episode. So, as always, we thank you so much for hanging out with us. Again, if you're new and joining us, we just thank you for giving us a chance and hope that you enjoyed this episode as well as our other ones and enjoying the podcast as a whole. If you go to Final Star for FinalFantasyTalks.com, that is where our blog is. It's our website, obviously, but our blog posts are there. We have a little bit more info about each episode as well as the music's used, the C trivia questions, stuff like that. And then, of course, we have our Instagram, which is the same handle, Final Star for Final Fantasy Talks. And, if you follow us, we'll post stuff of basically everything that we talk about during the podcast,
Yeah,
kind of the playthrough. We got screens, clips, all that kind of fun stuff. It's a great
yeah,
way to kind of actually be able to talk to you all, the ones that are actually listening. You listen to us talk all the
yeah.
time, but of course we can't conversate with you, and so that kind of provides the means to do so, and it's a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, and the occasional Final Fantasy X picture, which you all seem to
Yes.
love. So we'll be getting to Final Fantasy X eventually, and Yeah, I mean, like what Mark was saying, we're really appreciating you guys. We're appreciating the engagement, especially
Yes.
on social media, on Instagram. A lot of the posts really been starting to get a lot of comments recently on that, which is just great to see. And it's fun to connect with you guys on some of your guys' strategies and what
Yeah.
you all love about Final Fantasy as well. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next time. I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.